all kinds of data, from data you get in a newspaper article or a magazine article or a story on TV or maybe watching sports. All these data come in a lot of different forms. They come in percents, they come in fractions, they come in decimals, and all numbers can be written as percents, fractions, and decimals. So in this video I'm going to be talking about converting between all these three different types of numbers. So we'll start out with a couple examples. First of all, if we have a percent, for instance, like 54%. Okay. How do we change that to a fraction first? Well, as we talked about in class, the word percent actually is made up of two parts. Per, which means a fraction bar or division. So 54 per, and then cent, which is 100. And so to make 54% a fraction, it's simple. Just write 54 and then write over 100. However, whenever we write fractions, we also need to reduce them. So I'll start reducing this by saying 54 is divisible by 2. And then 100 is also divisible by 2. 27 is divisible by only 3. So 3 and 9, but 9 is divisible by 3 as well. So 50 is not divisible by 3. So this is the simplified form, 27 over 50. Okay. If we want to change this into a decimal, 54 over 100 is also another way of saying 54 hundredths. To write 54 hundredths, it's 0.54. You always say the number by its last digit. So if you look at this last digit, the 4 here, if you want to say in hundredths, then you put the 4 in the hundredths place, which is the second one to the right of the decimal. All right. So let's try some more. If you want to write 4% as a fraction, 4%, that will equal 4 per 100. And then you want to reduce it. Both these numbers are divisible by 4, so we get 1 over 25. Now if we're given a decimal, such as 0.07, and we want to write that as a percent, first it might be easy to change it into a fraction. So this 7 is in the hundredths place, so 7 over 100, 7 hundredths. And now we know that since it's over 100, that it already is a percent, so that means 7%. We'll try another one, 0.52. Again, that 2 is in the hundredths spot, and so we get 52 over 100. And again, since it's over 100, we know that's a percent, so that means 52%. If we have a fraction and we want to write it as a percent, such as 6 over 25, to get percent, we want the bottom to look like 100. This is easy by multiplying 25 by 4, and then you would have to do the same thing to the top. So we get 24 over 100, which is 24%. Someone in class today asked, well, what happens if the denominator is not a factor of 100? We will talk about that in the future, but in this video I'm not going to cover it. So don't worry about that yet. We will learn it. Let's try a couple other fractions to percents. What if we have 1 over 20 and we want to turn that into a percent? Okay, then we would multiply the top and bottom by 5, and we would get 5 over 100, which is 5%. There's some tricks that we can use to go from decimal to percent. So notice if you have 52%, I'm just going to put a whole bunch of percents here, 63%, 57%, 36%, 92%. So all these are percents. If you were to use a calculator and do 52 divided by 100, you would get 0.52. And 63 over 100 equals 0.63. And 57 over 100 is 0.57. And 36 over 100 equals 0.36. 92 over 100 equals 0.92. So maybe there's a way to go from this percent to this decimal without really worrying about the fraction part of it. Let me know what you think. We'll talk about that tomorrow in class. Pause this, write down what you think is correct, and then I'm going to try something else on the next screen. All right. So if we had, hold on, what am I doing? Okay, so if I had 2%, what do you think the decimal is? Or 5%, or 8%? So this one is 0.02, and this one is 0.05, and this one is 0.08. And what about 122%, or 156%, or 328%? This one's going to be 1.22. This one's going to be 1.56. This one's going to be 3.28. So has your idea of how to change a percent to a decimal changed since the last slide? If it has, then write that down. We'll talk about it tomorrow. So here's a 2-digit, and then here we have some 1-digit ones and some 3-digit ones.